I was like learning how to make the music while I was making it, because it's not, I'm not just guitar, drums, bass, but I had all this new gear and like drum machines and figuring out sampling and like learning how to play keys better and things like that. So I didn't really go in with an idea of having this cohesive or like thematically consistent, whether it's like aesthetics or lyrics or whatever, but release, so much as I was just like, just kind of going with it and like trying to write good pop songs. They were all gonna end up sounding cohesive because I was making them all the same way. I really spent a lot of time with lyrics on that first song. Really, I guess on all of them, more than I would have on a Frankie song, for example, where it's like, who cares?
You refer to Frankie Teardrop, which, of course, anyone watching this, I'm sure, is aware of what Frankie Teardrop was.
Yeah.
The previous project.
Yeah.
Were there certain rules of songwriting that you'd had for Frankie Teardrop that you were willing or eager to kind of set aside?
I don't know. I guess those changed throughout the course of that band too. But for a long time, I was like, don't bore us, get to the chorus. Like, no song needs to be over 2 minutes.
Yep.
Or you're wasting people's time, like that type of thing. But then there also were like 7-minute songs at the end of that band too.
Mm-hmm.
I think for a variety of reasons. I mean, I wanted to like bother people, I guess, was one of them. But that whole kind of attitude is like, I don't know, is kind of out the window. I didn't really put any rules on it, I guess. Like no hard and fast rules, or like maybe things that I'm like rules that I have in my head that I've had forever that I don't really like, think about consciously anymore. But
how about in terms of genre and instrumentation and gear that you would be using?
I don't know, like I want to be able to do anything with this name. And so it's like if I want to make a rock record under this, or whatever kind of record under Cheap Fantasy, like I want to be able to do that, and I don't want to limit myself in any way. I mean, I think part of like why that band ended was because it felt like, this has to sound a certain way, or we have to do this certain thing, which is like just ridiculous.
Yeah, and
anyway, because who cares? But
there's a Frankie character.
Yeah.
And now there is not a character. There's but it's not.
Me, sort of.
Yeah, is there a character? Because
I mean, probably, like kind of. You can't ever have like an authentic representation of like who I am in the song. Otherwise, I'd sing about eating an entire pizza and like scrolling through Facebook a bunch or something. I don't know.
but it's more malleable now because with Frankie Teardrop, it's a pre-existing character. At least the name was from the Suicide song.
Yeah, it definitely like took on a lot of characteristics as the thing went. That dynamic doesn't really exist anymore. Yeah, which is cool, and it's freeing, and it's nice to not have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to delve into each one of the tracks, and let's begin with Life of Glass. The Grey Estates.com said of it that it had the kind of lackadaisical sheen all summer playlists need, and that it's made for closing your eyes and surrendering yourself to a day of sunshine and nothing.
Yeah.
And I just found that really interesting, that it ends with sunshine and nothing, because obviously in the song itself there's the reference to nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turning into nothing.
Yeah.
There is a sunshine feel, but the song isn't cheerful.
No.
Is it?
No, it's not.
So what reflections, do you have any reflections on the ratio of sunshine to nothing in the song?
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like musically, I guess that's where the sunshine is in like the music, the melodies, and different aesthetic choices with instrumentation, arrangement, and stuff like that. or I think that's where most people find the sunshine, and then the nothing part, or the, you know, extremely depressing part, is the lyrics, you know. It's funny because I worked on that song for such a long time, and that was like the songs I worked on. I can only really work on one song at a time, and I worked on them all in the order that they're listed on the EP. Wow. Actually,
were you, as you were doing so, were you intending that to be the sequence?
No, but just like somewhere throughout the course of it, I was like, yeah, this is, you know, seems right.
Do you feel that you went on a kind of emotional and or other journey that is then reflected in the sequence?
I do, if I'm being honest, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we begin with Life of Glass, and you and Rose, with the vocals, are reflecting on staring at a picture of a plastic rose.
Yeah.
Is there a particular picture of a plastic rose that you have in mind?
I do, I guess, have both a plastic rose and like a couple of pictures of flowers on my mixing board.
Yeah.
But so sort of. I was thinking of that rose, looking at a representation of a replica, you know, that type of idea.
Is that central to the song, the idea of looking at a representation of a replica?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, yes, it is.
Yeah. Are you getting at that in a different way with the motif of the Life of Glass itself?
Yeah, like looking at a mirror, or I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was interesting to me about that phrase, because it can, you know, glass you can see through it, sometimes you can't. One-way mirror, two-way mirror, just a normal mirror.
Yeah.
You know, just I don't know, a lot of potential there.
It can be dangerous too.
Yeah,
is that
broken glass. Yeah, I suppose that's like an image that's, you know, probably in there too. Yeah, in the song.
Is there any aspect of Life of Glass that is specific to that song, that being the first song?
Yeah. I mean, I think really it sums it all up. It's like the mission statement.
If you're comfortable with thinking of it as kind of like a mission statement, what is it stating on behalf of the record as a whole?
I think it just sort of outlines the general feeling that all of the other songs sort of fit into, or are facets of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rose is so important to the songs.
Yep.
You know, I don't know what this would sound like without her, and I don't know if I would have kept going with it.
So Rose plays with you in Wetter.
Yeah.
At what stage and how did Rose get involved?
It was like while I was writing and recording that first song, Life of Glass.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think I just had especially because it's like lower in my range, I just had the idea at some point to bring in a vocalist with a higher range, and that, you know, someone that can actually sing. Like, that's not really my thing that much. So it was some point throughout that process, and she came in. I don't know if the song was completely done yet, like if all the other parts were recorded, but sang the hook over, and this is maybe like, you know, it took like 30 minutes or like under an hour or something, and I've been working on this song for probably a month at this point, and like every day, you know, this like living with it.
Hundreds of hours.
Yeah. And she came in and did that hook. I don't know, I almost cried. I was just like, because I've been hearing it in my head for so long, and she, just knocked it out of the park. And she's an incredible musician, you know, too. Absolutely. Obviously.
Yes, of course,
yeah, it was cool.
So discussing Fluoresce in the piece that came out on This Used to Be Us blog, you referred to Fluoresce as a meditation on the transient nature of relations with other humans over periods of time.
Yeah.
I found it interesting that you referred both to loss, to like the loss of a person, but also to someone showing up again. The theme of the fragility of of human relations, really comes through in that song and many of the other songs as well. But the idea of this surprise return as well.
That was definitely what sort of kicked off that song, was like seeing someone I hadn't seen in 10 years.
Yeah.
And then I guess the second part of it sort of happened when then like a friend of Dan, actually, from Frankie Teardrop, moved away to New York. It's important for probably the whole project, I think. Yeah.
A sense of nothing being certain.
Yeah.
In terms of human bonds, but then also even the assumption of the absence of someone not being certain as well. That's an interesting, unexpected emphasis, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a complicated feeling.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to get that across, really, which is, I think, part of why that song's important to me, is like, I wanted to try to communicate something that was like, had a little more nuance to it than, I like McDonald's. It's like, something I yell in a Frankie Teardrop song,
Yep.
I love McDonald's. Yeah, actually, it is the lyric. I don't know. Well, I still eat McDonald's sometimes, but so I think that's mostly why it's important to me. Yeah.
And there's more nuance to that described in that way and sounding as it does than a song that would focus just on anxiety and isolation.
Yeah.
So, involved in the nuance, is there hope? Are there other emotions outside of the ones that are more immediately evident?
Yeah. Thanks for picking up on that. Yeah. I think a lot of my songs end up that way, not entirely on purpose all the time. That's something that a close friend of mine has mentioned about those songs, that, like, I don't know, just sort of like the bittersweet but hopeful, sort of like hindsight is 20/20 vibe that I kind of have on these songs.
Yeah.
And I think I just tend to be that way naturally, even though, the first feeling you'd pick up on of maybe like isolation or depression or whatever is sort of like the central theme of the song. I tend to, like, I don't know, try even in the song to like work past that.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, I just hate whining. I hate whining.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just don't want to hear, especially like someone that is extremely privileged like me, like, I just don't want to hear you whine. I don't want to hear you complain, I think that sad songs are very honest. And that's how I feel, so I'm going to be honest about that, and I think that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's sadness in all 5 of these songs.
Yeah.
Are they all equally sad songs?
No.
Which is the least sad?
Man. I don't know. It's so hard to pick because like Ain't Hard is probably the most upbeat one.
Yeah.
But also it's like, the first lines of that song are, why not just quit? Why not just die? And it's it's like a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing.
That's the beginning of an era. So is that, what's the voices at the beginning? Is that what
there's a sample that it's from a movie. I can't remember what the movie's doing, Calder. Now I saw like somebody. It's funny. When I'm doing vocal takes, I have to do so many vocal takes that I'm also just kind of like hanging out at the same time. So I'll be like, whatever, like do a take, and I'm like standing there on my phone a little bit. I'm just in my room, and like found that someone had posted about this movie. What is the and like played the quote and just like into the vocal mic, and that's just how the sample on Chain of the Night went too. But what does he say?
Like
being a piece of shit and occasionally doing something good that's good or true is a much easier place to be. Yeah. So, and he's, it sounds, I think in that context sounds more self-deprecating, but it was more of like a comment on humility.
Okay. It's easier
than thinking, you are the shit.
Right. Yeah. So how interesting. So it opens with that sample, which is to do with humility.
Yeah.
To your ear at least and to mine. The song doesn't sound like it's promoting giving up to me.
No.
There's some struggle
Yeah.
happening here.
Yeah.
It ain't hard. The lyrics clarify what isn't hard. Giving up isn't hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So given that giving up isn't hard, what kind of commentary on this situation is the song making?
You know, I think it's the implication is like right there. It's like, you know, giving up is not hard. So not giving up is, you know, it's like, it's one of those things. Just to like get really simple with it. But yeah, and it's like it's the fastest song probably.
Yeah, shortest song.
Yeah, and the shortest, and you know, the most cruising, the most rocking.
Yeah, it's the
song on there.
None of them sound like Frankie Teardrop songs, but I can hear like...
That one does a little
yeah,
bit,
it does
right?
a little bit. Yeah, there's a component there.
Yeah.
What is the main difference between Ain't Hard and a Frankie Teardrop song?
I don't know. I mean, that easily could have been like a Frankie song.
Just that one. Do you think?
Maybe. Chained in the Night, actually, I did try with the band, and it didn't work.
Did it have all the same lyrics?
No. Oh, no. It was like a version of the hook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did a version of that predate Life of Glass then? Or?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's also like the bridge in Life of Glass is from a song I wrote maybe 6 years ago.
Wow. What drew you to those particular previous pieces of music of yours?
Probably just desperation. I mean, ideas are hard to come by. So, you know, just digging through voice memos or, I don't know, sometimes you just get struck by something and like with that Life of Glass bridge, it was like, oh, yeah, perfect, you know? And it was the hook, it was the hook for a song for like the first band I was in before I like moved here, really, yeah. With Chain in the Night, I think I had that idea of what that phrase meant to me, or like a mental image of it back then a bit, but had felt much more of what that song describes by the time it was, you know, time to write that song.
Right, and through the act of writing the song.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely, yeah.
A lyric that sticks out to me and that references chains is, you said, we need each other, it's 'cause we're chained together, I wish that could be enough.
Mm-hmm.
At what stage in working on this song did that lyric come to you? Because that seems central, yeah?
Yeah, I suppose it is. Man, wow, that's some heavy stuff. That was actually like probably one of the last lyrics that I added. I think because the one that I came up with initially was bogus. That song is about a couple of different things. Basically like mental illness and its relation to friendship.
Yeah.
And that song's about a friendship, and that lyric I needed to replace. That song probably took 2 months too, and I had more perspective on what was going on. It was like later in the process of that friendship or whatever, right? So yeah.
There's nuance to it again. Like it's not like obvious what it means, but it evokes this idea of two people being chained in some way.
Yeah.
And just the synchronicity of that.
Right.
What does that mean? I think it's just raising that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the song or the record elaborating further on that scenario?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit.
Yeah.
A bit. You know, I think more than anything, yeah, kind of the middle three songs are talking about that more than the first or last one.
So that being one's relations with others and with others that are suffering in a way that one is almost like a mirror of one's own suffering. Right.
Yeah. Sometimes a mirror, sometimes, you know, different but similar.
Yeah.
In so far as that there is, you know, also suffering there. I mean, yeah, specifically with like mental health stuff.
What is Glisten contributing to that?
That's kind of like the very bottom of that feeling, acknowledging that mutual suffering and realizing that sometimes there's like nothing one can do for someone else.
So specifically, you know, the promise would seem to be we can empathize with one another, and that's going to make the situation not as bad. But then there's doubt about that hope.
Yeah.
There's,
Right.
Yeah, there's
That's
there's
a good way
doubt
to put
and
it.
there's hope.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Glisten, doing the same thing, it's not working.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's kind of stock definition of insanity is
Yeah.
like doing the same thing
Over and over and expecting different results.
Expecting
yeah.
different results.
Right.
Is this is
Yeah.
referencing that?
Yeah, I suppose. I didn't think about it, but I have the opportunity to hear that definition like frequently. So it's like something I do think about. Yeah.
But then you're doing different things with the songs. In the lyrics, there's skepticism about progress and about too easily resolved narratives where here's a solution to this problem. And yet there does seem to be like a trajectory to the record. So can we explore that kind of...
Yeah, I mean, it's like, sort of coming out of Life of Glass, which is an extremely, like, solitary song, into this experience of, the complexity of friendships or relationships with other people. As that trajectory goes on, where it lands in Out of Phase is sort of like, I guess one thing I was thinking about a lot of the time was like abandoning the idea of a trajectory or of the concept that like one's life has some sort of arc or trajectory.
Just by the nature of things. Like,
and that's like kind of a, I don't know if it's the most useful way to think about oneself.
Right.
That there's, I mean, it's like everyone wants to make sense of things, and that's sort of like a theme that Out of Phase then explores, is because it's somewhat of a return to the feelings in Life of Glass, but something's different, and it's, there's been like, I've learned something, hopefully by the end of the story, and also, that there is no linear like narrative to like these feelings or these situations that are described in here, and like even in Out of Phase, like it reprises part of the melody from Life of Glass.
Yes,
right.
Of course. Yeah. Is Out of Phase a final word? Does it kind of reassess everything before? And if so, how confidently?
Yeah, it does. And I'm thinking about the lyrics right now. Yeah, I mean, in the sense that like it kind of hopefully acknowledges that there can be no final word in
Right.
That's
a good thing for the
in
final
something
words.
that has like no trajectory, right?
Right.
It's like, I don't know, instead of like a rifle shooting a target and saying like that's a bullseye, it's like a shotgun, and the it's like describing where all the different shells went, and it's not like able to really provide like a conclusion, right?
Yeah.
But it does at the same time.
But it does at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's focus on the visual components and the whole aesthetic because it's so well constructed. Ian Miller.
Yeah.
Who is Ian Miller and what role has Ian played in the Cheap Fantasy project?
Huge. I mean, yeah, he's like pretty, besides Rose, the person I worked the most closely with.
Yeah.
Ian and I met actually because I used to be in that band Gloss, now known as Posh Lost. I played drums. Originally, like at the first practice, and I think he played one show with us. Ian was in that band as well. He played synth, and I think he was supposed to be the singer. I can't remember what exactly happened. We've known each other for a while. He went to school in Chicago, art school. Immensely talented. I mean, he's just, I don't know. It's incredible. Especially from when I met him, I didn't really know that he was that into art stuff, but the oil paintings he makes, the work he makes is is awesome. And it's been really central. I mean, I think when I was writing Fluorescent, I knew that was going to come out. I just knew that I wanted to work with him, because we, throughout kind of the course of this band existing, or this project existing, and his natural course of making work, we've just been on the same wavelength, sort of. I'll send him a song, and it's like he's like, oh yeah, I'm working on this painting right now, and it's like they look the same, things like that.
The painting looks like the song.
Yeah, stuff like that. So it's been really cool, and I can't say enough about how good he is and how cool it is to talk to him about aesthetic ideas.
Are you also saying, this is what I would like from the project?
Yeah.
Or are you trusting Ian to hear it and to be... and
the latter.
The latter.
I mean, it's just like, because I think we line up on, on ideas theoretically or whatever, and I just send him the songs, and I just trust him, to be able to come up with something. Yeah. And he does. And there's not really a lot of direction there. I think I make like minor suggestions, but like the Life of Glass, the cover for that, I didn't tell him anything.
Which is here on our DIY green screen, which looks actually
cool.
to us.
Wow.
So here it is.
Yeah.
So you were saying you didn't give him any direction.
No.
For that.
That was like his first idea too. I wonder if he was even really trying. I mean, it's like, it's amazing. Like, I love it. I loved it when I first saw it, and I think people really like it. But
you were saying that the
he's so good.
He is so good. He's the cover. What makes it so fitting for the record?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a fair amount of it is on the nose. I mean, the chain link fence, right? A fence like that can be sort of a barrier, like maybe a window, but that you can also see through, right? For whatever reason, that picture to me conveys like some sort of loneliness, but also kind of that duality we talked about that's maybe present in Fluorescent. That part of it, but that there's more to that, some complexity, some beauty. Maybe, right? With the petals, but also the fence,
Yeah. I tentatively was asking if there was like hope. Beauty is a kind of maybe a more neutral word. Is that the other aspect of the duality? Beauty?
Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe it's more that.
Yeah.
Because
hope seems a little bit too strong, perhaps. But
sometimes it's there. Or maybe approaching it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hear despair in the songs. I also don't hear hope in the songs. I see them as kind of...
That's good.
A pair.
Mm-hmm.
But there is definitely, incontestably, beauty and an awareness of and a celebration of beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
The video for Chain in the Night is visually quite different from Ian's work.
Mm-hmm.
Who was behind the video?
Nicholas Matthew Elstrand.
And how did this video come about?
This was like, I found this guy on Instagram. I had an idea for what I wanted that video to be like, which is sort of just, like that 3D, completely digital sort of thing, rendering, know.
Yeah.
And I hit up a couple of people who weren't, currently doing that sort of work, but whose work I really enjoyed, and one of them, just referred me to this guy. And I had no idea who he was. He actually, it turns out he's local.
Oh.
But I didn't know for most of that while we were working on that project, or while he was working on that project. Yeah, and kind of same thing. I mean, I just really liked his work, and it was also something that I wouldn't normally try or think to try. I had one idea for that video, and it was like the mental image of the song, which is, a chain sort of like retreating into the distance, into like blackness, and you can see, the chain going away.
Yeah.
And that was really it, and that's the only direction I gave him. And then I was just like, do your thing, do what you do, and he did. And it's, I loved it. I loved the video.
Yeah, I love it too. And we have the two figures connected when the vocal comes in.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a piece with the lyric that we were digging into.
Yeah.
They're in some kind of embrace.
Yeah.
But they're distorted.
Yeah, and they go through each other, and the hands go through each other and stuff like that. Like you're missing. Yeah, that was his idea completely, and I love it. I mean, it's a type of thing maybe sort of similar to how the cover is, where it's like almost. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty on the nose stuff.
Because they're not chained together, but they are like something stuck
in each other. Passing through each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, that's almost just there literally in the lyrics.
Exactly. The chain in the night is a metaphor.
Yeah.
And like that image takes like the tenor from the metaphor. So if the vehicle is like the chain, the tenor is like the human situation that's being described.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the video we have that human situation showing up without the medium of the chain metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it would, it's like it is one step away from like two people just have like being chained together in the video. But it's an important step.
Exactly.
Right? And I don't know, I like stuff like that. That's it's pop music. It's meant to be accessible, and I think that should carry over into how it's presented visually as well. That's important to me.
I'm glad that you highlight that again, because that's something that you've highlighted in previous interviews too. You've said that you hope that people with something they can relate to, and some peace.
Yeah.
Is that hope something that you have now looking back at the project? Is that hope something that drives your creation?
I hope that people find the same things that I find in the song, which is just like an ability to relate and to feel what is in the song, and feel that thoroughly. Yeah, I don't know, because those are the songs that connect with you the most, that are essentially, I don't know, not all the time, but that are pop songs, and that you can relate to. Hopefully that's what happens when people listen to this stuff. Either that they're initially attracted and hooked by like, yeah, this sounds like summer, or the lyrics, or both.
Is there a purposeful
different things?
Incongruity?
Probably. I don't know how conscious that is, though. One reason why that incongruity exists, or that people can get the read that, oh, this is a nice summer song, is because like you can't really tell what I'm saying all the time. So, but I mean, and it's also something, that I tell myself when I write songs that are more personal, and that I feel like I'm, complaining or something like that. I tell myself that hopefully it's worth it, because maybe someone has felt this way and this is going to help them, explore that feeling or process that feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So which goes back to, I think, the sample that you have at the beginning of Ain't Hard. When you're self-critical and you're opposed to, you don't like to think of yourself as moaning, then the thing that's good and true is related. It's deeply related.
It's like the connection that maybe that results from that whining ostensibly, right? Yeah.
Not that I've never encountered you whining.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good to hear.
Yeah.
I hope not. Because definitely, like, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you don't do it. Not that I've witnessed.
That's great. I'm glad.
This does seem like a really coherent set of 5 songs. Do you anticipate this being the only Cheap Fantasy record that sounds like this? And it's a broad question, but...
Yeah. I don't know. It'll probably... it's like... I like when bands or people are like, yeah, like we did this, and next one's going to be completely different. It's pretty crazy. And it just sounds exactly the same record. And then they make that like 6 more times or whatever. It's awesome. I love stuff like that. Yeah. But, so it's like, I was thinking on the next EP, like, all right, I figured it out. I know how to do this. I'm going to get wild. But it's probably going to sound the same. I don't know. I have been getting into, like, samples and stuff more. So I'm really going to try to make it sound kind of weird. But it like... is, it's still me writing the songs, so those are going to sound similar, maybe just like a little difference in timbre or like, sound palette.